Let's talk about Netflix a little bit because you could start seeing ads on your Netflix account sooner rather than later. Reportedly, their new lower-priced ad-supported option will be available by the end of the year. It will also charge people for a higher price if they share their password with other people outside of their household. So this is going to do a lot of changes for people. These changes with Netflix are going to cost them about 200,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2022.
Netflix is turning it up. Okay. A single dad says he will encourage his son to pursue entrepreneurship instead of college. Carlos Smith says he didn't take the traditional route to entrepreneurship after graduating college and constantly hearing he lacked experience. He decided to create his own opportunity with his business more than a job. Now he wants to convey that same message to his 7-year-old son. He says entrepreneurship could be a much better option than going to college. Under his business, Carlos has released a new book. He says he wants to share his journey and inspire people all over the world. He also created a podcast called Cross the Line, where he travels to different places to interview entrepreneurs from various backgrounds to share their story.
And WNBA star Brittany Griner's wife, Sherelle, just graduated from law school. She made the announcement on Instagram. According to her LinkedIn page, Sherelle has been a student at North Carolina Central University of Law School in Durham since August of 2019. In addition to earning her degree, Sherelle graduated with honors. She's also sharing with her followers a video of Brittany sporting the North Carolina University apparel shirt. Brittany remains in Russia, where she's been detained since February. Despite the uncertainty of Brittany's return, Sherelle says she's remaining strong, and she's also showing her support for the new season of the WNBA by posting a video of Brittany tossing shirts into the stands last season.
An HBCU student has graduated 4 years after being paralyzed from a gunshot wound. Howard Boone Jr. graduated from St. Augustine University this week with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, just 4 years after being paralyzed from the neck down due to a gunshot wound. Boone was shot back in 2018 after a gunman opened fire into a large crowd. For almost 2 weeks, Boone was in a coma. He says he coded twice, once on the scene and again during surgery. In the following weeks, he says that he learned the bullet wound had cut his spinal cord, immobilizing him from the neck down. He says when it first happened that he asked God, "Why me?" But the 23-year-old, he says that his family told him to trust God and that he would get through it. And so he went to rehab, where he said he eventually decided to complete his goal of graduating college.
Two black violinists continue to take the world by storm with their fusion of classical music mixed with hip-hop. Kev Marcus and Will Baptiste started playing together in high school in Florida. They say they were inspired by the song Give Me Some Mo by Busta Rhymes. That's right. The two got a shot to appear on Showtime at the Apollo and won during the performance. They caught the eye of Alicia Keys' manager and were later invited to perform with her at the Billboard Awards. Their careers grew from there, and in 2008, they released their own album. 4 albums later, they are playing in the Kennedy Center, appearing in commercials and on television. They say they are passionate about supporting kids to pursue the musical art.
And it's never too late to go back to school, and 71-year-old Leroy Harvey is proving that age is just a number. The South Carolina native is making headlines for recently graduating from the University of South Carolina with his master's in teaching. He says at 69, he decided to embark on a new path towards his education. After discovering his passion for teaching, Harvey pursued his degree. He credits his hard work and the support of his family for getting him through. Harvey says he may be 71, but he's proving that passion has no age limit. He says that if you want to pursue your dreams, do it with the belief that you are capable of learning and bringing your gifts to the table.
Bob Lanier, one of the NBA's top players of the 1970s, has died. The NBA says Lanier died after a short illness. The Hall of Famer worked for the league as a global ambassador. In 2019, Lanier was being treated for bladder cancer. He was drafted by Detroit as the #1 pick overall in 1970. Now, Lanier played 14 seasons with the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Bucks. The NBA commissioner said Lanier was among the most talented centers in league history and added his accomplishments went far beyond what he did on the court. He was 73 years old.
The single greatest barrier for new businesses and startups is definitely, hands down, access to capital. So if you are a female entrepreneur, we have some information that could change your life. The Boss Network stands for Bringing Out Successful Sisters. It's an online community of professional and entrepreneurial women who support each other through digital content, programs, and events. So their goal is to promote and encourage the small business spirit and career development of women of color. The organization has a lot to share, and I'm so excited to have my good sis here, the founder and CEO, Kamika Smith. How are you doing today, love?
I'm good, Demi. How are you? So good to be here.
Oh my gosh, you know, we go back so far. I can't even begin to tell our soulmates about it. I'm so happy to have you here today. So we read a little bit about the mission of the Boss Network, but just please dive in and tell us really what the mission is when you created this wonderful organization.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, you know, I started this organization back in 2009. So it's been over 13 years. And for me, as a educator in Chicago Public Schools, I got laid off. And so many of you all probably remember that time. And of course, for me, it was like, okay, what do I do next? And entrepreneurship has always been something I was passionate about. So I just decided to just dive into it head first. And as I was building my own personal brand, I saw, you know, there was a need for like just women of color to have a resource so that they can learn how to grow their businesses. And so with that, I launched the Boss series, which was an event series just to bring Black women together to talk about how do we support each other on our entrepreneurial journey. And from there, women were saying, how do we join the Boss Network? And I was like, oh, there's nothing to join, but hey, if they want it, then you better build it. So that's what we did. And the bossnetwork.org was born.
I love that. I know everything about the Boss Network. Okay, I can tell you about the Boss Network from beginning to end. Everyone in Chicago knows about the Boss Network, and women worldwide who are business owners know about the Boss Network. So, Kamika, tell us a little bit more about the Boss Impact Fund, though, however, because that's very, very important to the Boss Network.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, of course, you know, Demi, as well as so many Black women that follow us, that we've been committed over the last 13 years to providing opportunities and resources for Black women in business. And of course, with the pandemic and everything that happened around COVID-19, we saw so many minority businesses struggling and not having access to capital, PPP loans, and other, you know, traditional funding. There's a study that says less than 1% of female founders of color actually get investment. I mean, that's just ridiculous, less than 1%. And so for me, it was like, okay, I have been doing this for 13 years. I've empowered, I've inspired. Now it's time to boss up, right? I need to help these women get access to capital funding. That's the only way we're going to be able to grow and sustain our businesses. And so that's how the Boss Impact Fund was actually launched.
I love that you said we had PPP loans, we had unemployment, and a lot of women launched their businesses with that funding that they had. But you, however, you're launching a new Sage Invest in Progress grant program. So I'd like to know exactly what is that and how will those grants be given out, because this is going to change the lives of many Black female business owners.
Absolutely. So initially, when I launched the fund, my goal was to raise $10 million over the next 3 years to invest in 500 women. And so we launched our first grant this January, and we just recently chose our 25 grant winners. And let me tell you, Demi, we had over 12,500 women apply for this grant in a month. And so it was so overwhelming that my partner, Sage, who has just been an amazing partner to help create this fund, they actually gave us 10 additional grants for this year. And so those 35 women that we awarded with those grants, they get $10,000 grants as well as a full year scholarship to our Boss Business University, because we understand that capital is important, but also that mentorship, that guidance, that business training is going to help them scale.
That is exactly what we love to see on the website, resources, and letting women, business owners, know exactly those next steps to take when they're in their business. And so I'd like to know, how are you changing the way that entrepreneurial women, how are we, the way that we're being viewed by the masses? What are you and your organization, the resources, what is the Boss Network doing to change the way that we're being viewed?
You know, so one of the things we're doing is we've been consistently over the last 13 years about providing resources. We partner with great brands that can give us what we need to be able to give this to the women within our community. And so we reach over 200,000 women nationally. And so all of these women have access to trainings. We just hosted what we call Work Wednesdays training last night and have had over 400 Black women entrepreneurs on that call. And so these are the kind of things that we're doing. We're providing them with these resources. We're giving them access to grants. we're helping them to realize that their dreams can actually come true. And so without that type of support, you know, it's hard, but with that support, there's nothing that they can't do. So we're excited to be on this journey with them.
And Black women, we're seeing a shift right now. We're a resource for a lot of companies. They're using our businesses and our influence to influence their company. And so how is becoming a resource for these companies that are seeking minority influencers as their target market? How is that important?
Yeah, I love that you said that, because let me tell you, you know, no business can grow without funding. And I knew that having access to 200,000 Black women was a game changer. And so when I decided to launch this fund, what I did was I went to Sage, some of my partners that I have been working with for years, and said, hey, listen, I need capital. And so Sage, they invested $1.5 million over the next 3 years in this grant. And that's what we have to do. If we have the influence, if we have the knowledge, if we have the community, we need to be able to leverage that. Don't just let these brands, you know, leverage what you're doing for, you know, an Instagram ad. No, there's so much more that you can do. And so I tell people, you know, really look at what you have as a brand and try to pitch that to these companies, because they are looking to support the Black community. We saw all the press releases that went out after George Floyd about supporting the Black community. And so my thing is, okay, let's put the money where your mouth is, right? And so I've had brands like JP Morgan Chase, Sage, PepsiCo that said, hey, how can we support you? And that's what we're doing.
Oh, my God. I love that so much. And we saw that a lot during the pandemic. Buy Black was a very, very, very big movement. And so you were definitely at the forefront of that as well. We don't have a lot of time, Kamika. You know, I could sit here and we could chat all day. But,
Absolutely.
you know, you started this business a very long time ago. Please let our soulmates know, what is your personal mission of seeing women of color win?
Well, you know, I think for me, growing up, my mom, she was a minister. And so leadership and servanthood was always something that was really instilled in me. And so my mom always told me that it's not about you, it's about you helping other people. And so that's just been my mission. How do I give back? How do I help people? And I feel like I get joy. I always feel like our destinies are connected. So when I wake up in the morning and I do what I'm called to do, it really allows someone else to do what they're called to do. And so it's just the circle of life, you know.
Absolutely, Kamika. And we'll be connecting soon on the phone and Instagram and all that good stuff, catching up. But thank you so much, Kamika, for stopping in, the CEO of the Boss Network. And please let us know the website again, just really quick before we leave.
No, absolutely. So you can visit thebossnetwork.org and also the Boss Network on all social media platforms.
Yes, and we will definitely be checking you out. And I will be talking to you very soon.